Hey friends, it's Justin and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we have a super fun Summerween themed card using some brand new products from scrapbook.com. I have all of the products that I'm using in today's video linked down below in the description for your shopping convenience. So if anything in this video inspires you to get your Summerween crafting on, make sure to check them out below. Using the links below do help support me in my crafting, so I thank you in advance for using them. Now on to the crafting. So first, for today's card, we are going to be using the new Collage 1A2 card die. I do want to point out this die is not 100% available yet on scrapbook.com, but will be coming very soon. We're also going to be using the Happy Summerween stamp set and coordinating die set to help put our card together. So let's start talking about that stamp set. So pulling in the Happy Summerween stamp set, I have colored up each of the images with this stamp set along with the Happy Summerween sentiment. So we've got our cute little skeleton, our trio of ghosts, our little witchy flamingo, and the Happy Summerween sentiment. I have colored these all up with Olo markers off camera, and now they're ready to die cut with the coordinating shape die set. So what I love about this stamp set is there is a coordinating die for everything. There is a coordinating die for each of the images, there's a coordinating die for each of the little embellishment stamps, along with dies for each of the sentiments as well. And die cutting is so easy, especially when you have some mint tape on hand. So I put my die cuts into place, line it up, and then tack it down with some mint tape and process them through my die cutting machine off camera. Here you can see how each of these images look, all die cut and ready to go for our card. Now let's talk about that Collage 1A2 card die. Now do remember this die is not available on the scrapbook.com website yet, but will be available in the coming weeks. This Collage 1A2 card die, I'm going to die cut it from a half sheet of 110 pound Studio White cardstock, which means I'm going to be able to die cut this shape twice. So I'm going to line everything up, tack down the die with some mint tape, die cut it off camera, and repeat the process a second time, giving me two of these Collage 1 frames. I'm also going to save one of the groups of negatives as well, and this is going to help build our scene for our card. Now, I've prepared a scrapbook.com sticky mat, and I'm going to put one of my collage dies on there and use this to sort of lay out how I want each of my groups of images to go. So that Happy Summerween sentiment is going to fit perfectly in the long, narrow rectangle. I have my little flamingo in the short, but it's tall at the same time, depending on what angle you're looking at it, rectangle. The skeleton is going to go in the largest rectangle, and then our little ghosts, I believe, are ending up in the smallest rectangle because they all just seem to fit perfectly. I'm going to take each of the die cut negatives and then put them off to the side so I sort of know which little rectangle is going to work with which character, and this is going to help with my color coordination as we get into a little bit of, spoiler alert, ink blending. Now, putting all of the images off to the side like this is going to just help me stay nice and organized, but I will recommend make sure that your images are protected so you don't accidentally end up inking them or smudging them and having to start from scratch with recoloring. Now, using the Happy Summerween rectangle, I'm going to pull in some green Catherine Pooler inks, so we're going to use Garden Party and Lime Ricky. I am going to be using a Simon Hurley blending brush to blend the top with the Garden Party ink, and then once I'm satisfied with the amount of coverage, we're going to move on to that Lime Ricky and then blend from the bottom up. Now, truthfully, you can have your ombre go from light to dark from the top to bottom or from bottom to top. It's whatever flips your boat, but you can also make that decision at the last minute, as these die cuts can obviously be flipped around to make sure that you're using whatever sort of color combination works best. Now, for our flamingo rectangle, we're going to start with some Tiara ink, and I'm going to blend that up once again with the Simon Hurley blending brush. And for this, we're going to start from the top, moving down towards about the middle half, middle second third of the card, just so we get a nice blend going on. And then once I'm happy with the amount of coverage of Tiara, we're going to move on to some Tiki Torch. I love the Tiara and Tiki Torch group of colors with the Catherine Pooler party line because they're really good bridges between orange and yellow. I just think that they have a really fun versatility to them that you can use them with either sorts of colors. So here you can see we've got our little orangish yellow rectangle all blended up, and now we're going to move on to our skeleton one. And for this one, this was pretty easy. Since he's on a floaty, I just wanted to make the background a vibrant blue color. So we're going to start with some Fiesta blue, and I'm going to blend that across the top. Once I'm happy with how much Fiesta blue ink is on our rectangle, I'm going to move on to one of the newest Catherine Pooler ink colors, which is Boardwalk. So we're going to use this on the bottom edge of the panel and just sort of blend this up into that Fiesta blue color, getting a really nice ombre. So here you're going to see a little bit of a closer look as to what that looks like, and we're going to set it aside and then move on to our final rectangle, and that is going to be for our little trio of ghosts. We're going to make this a little bit pink, so we're going to start with the It's a Girl ink, pulling in another Simon Hurley blending brush, and if you haven't noticed yet, my blending brushes, I do have a designated blending brush per color family, which helps prevent any sort of cross-contamination of colors. So we're going in with that pink blending brush for the It's a Girl coloring, and then on the bottom we're going to use some Party Dress. I'm going to dab off the excess. Dabbing off the excess is going to come into handy later on in this card making process, so don't just wipe it up. Make sure to save it until you see the part that I'm going to use it. And once I'm done with my Party Dress ink, I'm going to give you a little bit of a closer look as to what all of this looks like, and we've got all of our rectangles finished. Now, using our Distress sprayer, I am going to take the nozzle off and start splattering it over our panels, and this is going to allow it to get a nice bleach mark effect because Catherine Pooler inks are water reactive. Now, I am going to wet down the little areas of ink that I've dabbed off my blending brushes, and I'm going to pick it up with a clean watercolor brush to then splatter all over our card. And we're going to get a fun multicolor splatter effect using 4 of those colors. So we've got green, pink, yellow, and blue, and they're all represented and going to pull all of the different colors in. Now, I do have an A2 panel of Studio White cardstock prepared at the top, and I'm adding liquid adhesive to the back of our clean Collage 1 die cut frame. So I am going to adhere this directly to our A2 size card panel. You could also adhere this directly to the card base that you're working with as well. It just depends on whatever your preference is. And then once that's adhered into place, I'm going to start adding liquid adhesive to the back of each of our rectangles and begin the process of popping them into place. Now, I do decide to sort of switch around the orientation of my card so that the largest, or rather in this case, the tallest rectangles end up on top and the shorter rectangles are going to end up on the bottom. And this is primarily because I think that in this orientation, my placement of where I intend to put the Happy Summerween sentiment will work the best. Now, on our ink splattered frame on the back side, I am very carefully lining up all of the edges with 3mm foam strips that are 1/8 of an inch thick, and they perfectly fit into these strips. You really can't see them fit, but you do got to be careful that you're putting them nice and exactly into place. Now, I'm going to remove my backing from the foam tape strips, and then we are going to use my Misty as a corner to help line everything up. So I am putting my base layer down first, and then my foam tape collage frame layer, I'm using that bottom left corner of my Misty to line everything up for a little bit of dimension. And here you can see how everything looks with our collage frame. Oh my goodness, I think that this is just off to a super fun start, and I'm so excited to now get these little Summerween critters put into their place. So we're going to start by just adding in a little bit of 3mm foam strips, which are going to help match each of the images to the depth of the collage frame itself. Now, if the images are going outside of the frame at all, I'm going to use a little bit of liquid adhesive on those portions to help secure the image to the outside of the frame. And then if it's not going to go on the outside, just regular foam tape strips should help entirely. So you can really start to see how this scene is coming together because it is just super adorable, and I love how all of these foam strips are making these little elements pop. I'm trying to be super careful to make sure each of the images are lined up appropriately. The happy Summerween sentiment is a little bit particular because you want to make sure that it's as centered as possible in the rectangle, but also that the two words are centered upon themselves as well. So once you get them nicely into place, afterwards is when I recommend putting a little bit of pressure to sort of lock them down. And here you can see how our layout works. Now, using my scrap piece of cardstock that we die cut all of our critters out from, I am going to use some of the little embellishment stamps from the Happy Summerween stamp set just to give our card a little bit of extra flair. I decided against using sparkly embellishments like sequins or little pops of color just because I thought that it would be a little too much and they might get lost in the dimension of the card. So instead, I'm using our various ink colors to get like party dress little bats, getting tiki torch bats as well. There's actually two fun designs that are included. We are going to do some boardwalk little embellishments with bats, and then I've also got that party dress ink that we're going to do some little stars from, and then finally I'm going to pull in that lime Ricky and do a little bit of a diamond. Now these all have coordinating dies as well, so I was able to die cut each of the elements out, and some of the bats are actually large enough that I'm able to put some 3mm foam strip on the back of and pop it onto our card. I think that this is really going to help give some elements of these embellishments a little extra pop, but like this thin narrow star, it doesn't really have enough space that I can appropriately put foam strips, so that one can get just adhered directly to the card panel itself. Now I'm just sort of working my way around trying to add the different colors of embellishments in different colored sections. So like for example, my little skeleton doesn't have any blue embellishments and my Happy Summerween doesn't have any green ones. Now I'm able to then put my A2 panel onto a pre-made A2 size card base with some liquid adhesive, and then once that's in place, my card is fully completed. I think that this card is just so super cute, and I love how celebratory it is as we're getting into our spooky time of year. Thank you so very much for stopping by my YouTube channel today for a little bit of Summerween inspiration using these brand new scrapbook.com products. If I used anything today that inspires you to go out there and create and you got to get your shop on, make sure to use those links below. If you haven't yet already, make sure to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel for future inspiration, and then I will look forward to crafting with you really soon. Thanks so much, everyone, and have a great day. Goodbye.